welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the C-Suite. My name is Mina Imsirovic, and today I'm joined again by Christie Lum, our Head of People Insights. Christie, thank you so much for joining me again.
Thanks for having me again.
You made it back, so I clearly wasn't too scary.
No, not too scary.
No. As you know the drill now. Let's start off with a recommendation of the week.
Okay, so I've got another book recommendation for you, but this time it's about something different. So it's about Atomic Habits, and it's by James Clear. So obviously a great book for many of us. A lot of us have got bad habits or things that we'd like to change. So
absolutely.
A bit of guidance around how do we create good habits is always welcome.
Absolutely. I think that will be very welcome by everyone listening. That sounds brilliant. Thank you very much. I invited you back today to have a chat about the importance of job ads, and in particular when it comes to hiring efficiently. The findings from Wall Street Journal's CEO Council Summit reflect recent forecasts that many employees will loosen their education and experience requirements in job ads to instead look at candidates' abilities in performing tasks to fill critical roles. And I know it seems like we might be going back to basics with this question, but why are job ads so important?
There's a lot of factors that come into having a great job ad and why they're important. So obviously they help attract the right candidates, which is really, really important. They help to create a positive employee brand as well, so really important for that. If you've got them written in the right way, it will save you a lot of time and resources. For example, if it's too broad or not specific enough, you end up getting too many candidates, and then you've got to waste your time sort of going through candidates that are not actually suitable for the role because they don't meet the requirements of the role.
So quality over quantity. We don't need to be filling our pipelines with thousands of candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. And just around setting expectations as well, so that the candidate has a clear idea as to what's expected and what's required in the role. So they're really important again, and it's about making sure you create efficiencies in the process as part of that recruitment process.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say key things a good job ad should include?
Okay, well there's lots of things there we can sort of touch on, but obviously, what are the clear requirements of the role? So making sure you're quite specific around what that is. So not saying we need someone who's a team player when it's actually an individual contributor role, for example. And also thinking about neurodiversity as well. What's really important to have is a contact name for someone that, if they'd like to have adjustments to the process and they're neurodiverse, who can they actually contact as part of the application process? And it's good to have that up front in an ad, and encouraging people to actually apply, if they sit in that population is really important. Things like location as well. So is it a hybrid role or location role? So then people know, okay, I'm based in Sydney, but this is a hybrid role, so I can apply for this one.
Yeah.
So that's also important again around making sure you're screening in the right applicants that can actually do the job and are open to doing the job in the format that it's required in.
Yeah. That absolutely makes sense. And then I guess on the other end, which is probably a more important question, what are some things we should be leaving out? Because I think the problem with a lot of job ads is that there's far too much in there, and a lot of them throw people off. This is, I might not meet all the requirements.
Yes.
So what are some things we should be omitting from job ads?
Yeah, that's right. And that's one that often neurodiverse populations might have trouble with, because a lot of criteria can actually make them feel like, oh, I don't meet those criteria, or I don't have enough experience, so I'm not going to apply.
Well, I think one of the things that stood out to me, a statistic I read quite a while ago, was even the gender differences. If a woman doesn't meet 9 out of 10 criteria, she won't apply for the job, whereas males will apply if they meet 6 out of 10. So,
that's right. Yeah, no, I've actually seen employers put that in their ads.
Right.
So they've been actually quite upfront around that and saying, you know, if you don't meet all the requirements, it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily apply for the job. Yeah, it's a good one. Obviously, discriminatory language is not something that we want in job ads, so that's a definite no-go. Information that's not necessary or not really relevant to the job, you know, keep it as concise as you can is really important. Being vague in what the job requirements are as well, that's not going to be helpful. Again, that's going to cause issues with efficiencies around bringing in the wrong people into your recruitment pool, because you'll end up with too many, but then you'll end up with people that are not going to meet the criteria in the end because you haven't been specific enough around what's required in the role.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think an interesting one, going back to language, not necessarily only discriminatory language, but certain, I guess, being mindful of the language use as well. Certain words like rock star versus, you know, we're seeking a rock star to join the team, again, something that's predominantly attracts male applicants versus females. So I think being really mindful around the language used, and also, you know, certain kind of corporate cliches as well, leaving those out.
Remove the corporate jargon. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We actually do have a job ad template available on our website for download, which goes through all the do's and don'ts, and it's an editable PDF, which is really easy for anyone to use. So we highly recommend it. It's one that we use ourselves, so it's definitely been put through the ringer. But thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Christie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.